Most YouTube content is either too complex or flat out useless for business. You don't need more theory and demos, you need real results. I'm Parker X. I built and led product for a startup that did $50 million a year before we exited. After that, I chased the Silicon Valley unicorn status for 3 years until pivoting to going all in on AI. The week I pivoted, I went to making 20K a month using code, no code, and all sorts of AI tools. I've scaled products to 500,000 users. I've built multi-agentic platforms and launched 50 really popular GPTs. I cut through the noise and share what I'm learning so you can too. So this is a daily video on AI, and instead of making highly produced videos every couple of weeks, this is just a really quick update on my journey to 100K a month. So in each one of these videos, I'll cover my strategy of growing those AI services, my strategy on growing a content business, and an update on a tool that I'm trying out. So today we're going to be using MCP, which is by Claude. So the format of this video is I'll basically have a little whiteboard. And if you're familiar, there's a channel called Nick Sarave. I don't really know how to say his last name, but I saw what he was doing, and he does no-code automations with make.com, and it's a lot of inspiration for what I'm doing here. So first, we'll jump into a little bit of the strategy for today on the AI side. So I've built paid products in the past. I did a product management for beginners course, and I made about $20,000 on it in about a week when I launched it. And it was just a series of a bunch of YouTube videos. And it was right when we got bought. And I was like, hey, this would be pretty cool. I had built a small audience on the internet on this channel, and they'd been asking. So I put it together, and now it's all free. I think at the time I charged $200, but it's a little bit outdated in terms of some of the tools. But I try to make it evergreen, where even when I do mention a tool, I bring it up that this will be the same concept, like learning how to do product analytics, learning how to do basically conversion rate optimization is the same as it was before. You know, does the page look better? Are you getting them through the funnel? Are you making the person think or not? All that stuff's the same. So now what I'm looking at is, how do I grow AI services to $100,000 a month? And I think what I've learned from both just being in this space for a while, and also a lot of the teachings that Alex Hormozi does, is you need to build a lot of goodwill with your audience before you start to charge for the products. Because if you just posted a video and you're like, hey, buy my thing, but you had not put out content and you're not someone that people trust, then it's not going to sell. I think the reason that I was able to do $20,000 a month, or $20,000 just when it was out for a week, was because I had posted so much free content. And that's why it worked. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of thinking through, like, what is the kind of content that people are going to want to see? And I'm stuck between two niches. I basically look at this as a problem where there's a ton of people that want, like, you have like Cursor content. And so Cursor, fastest growing IDE in like forever, where it just basically has just like exploded the charts in terms of growth. And what it does, if you're not familiar, it's like traditionally you'd have to go and you'd write a bunch of code, and each line of code you do by hand. And then, kind of the first iteration or change when AI came along was like, oh, we have like autocomplete, and autocomplete was really helpful for people, because instead of you just having this here and you write this one thing, then it would guess what you're going to write next. And then quickly after autocomplete came chat, and chat basically took it from being like this IDE where, you were maybe getting the autocomplete in here, to then having this chat thing over here, where instead of having to go back and forth between ChatGPT or any of these models, you would be able to chat right there. And you could also like chat inline. So you could grab a block of code, hit Command K, and then have updates be done. So Cursor kind of pioneered the best version of this, because it is just the smartest, it's the most effective, and people are interested in it. Like, if you look at some of the stuff out there, I just want to show you a tweet from the founder of Supabase, who follows me on Twitter. You should follow me on Twitter. But he basically posted that the growth of their usage has just absolutely exploded. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to find this on the spot. I'm going to try though. Let's see. I know his name is Kiwi. I think I should know his name. None of this video is going to get edited, by the way. So if you stick with me, I promise you'll learn something. But yeah, if we look at his page, let's see, when did he post it? Boom. If you look at this chart, this kind of explains the story of what's going on in the AI space in terms of coding. Like, I think a lot of people, there's two camps. Like, one camp says coding's dead. And I think that that is partially right. I think it would be a mistake to think that none of it's going to change, but it also lowers the barrier to entry for anyone wanting to learn. Like, I started learning how to code and took it seriously about 2.5 years ago. And that was only because I could go and ask this always on tutor, aka ChatGPT, how to do all of this stuff. But now you're starting to see it where as the models are getting better, more people are entering the market. Now, say what you will about the quality of those projects that people are putting out, like to-do apps and basic things that wouldn't be ready for production. But more people are definitely entering the space. And I want to be there to help them kind of learn how to go from just vibe coding to actually building stuff that people can use. And another really good example of this is Peter Levels put out a flight simulator. Oh, I think it's Levels.io. Yeah. He put out a flight simulator, and this thing has gone bananas where it started with, and it's also started people building their own products that didn't have followings. But he put out a flight simulator that basically let you fly around in a real world, and it wasn't great, right? Like 4 to 8 FPS, people are complaining, but he did this through his, vibe coding, meaning like telling the model, "Hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you do this?" Paired with his ability to actually code, and he got a lot further. Where now, he has a game that is getting 60 frames per second. You can see that there's 43 people playing right now. I think he's generating $70,000 a month now off of the back of this little idea that I think he launched like 2 weeks ago. Absolutely nuts. So that was all possible because of Cursor. And again, I think in order for me to position this right and be an authority in the space, I need to be producing a lot of content around Cursor. One of the videos that I did have that kind of went viral in terms of me, like it got more than 10,000 views, was just showing how my Cursor setup works because I started using it. I was one of the first users. I talked to the engineers on the team. I've gotten a lot of insight from just DMing people. And then you have people that can go and make stuff like this, where, he's now selling ads for a sailing game. So kind of nuts. But I do think that the misconception with this is like if you're building something like this and you didn't have any fundamentals, then you wouldn't be able to build something like this. I think that you would be really confused because you wouldn't even know, like, I mean, when you look at a typical software project, like we'll look at just my website, which, by the way, I was able to kind of rebuild the entire thing and position it as someone who knows what they're talking about in this space. I was able to do all of that in about one evening using Claude Code. But if you looked at this and you didn't have any background in programming, I don't care how good the model is. If it messes up, you don't know what a tsconfig is. You don't know what a package.json is. You don't know what a package is. You don't know what npm, pnpm, bun, all these things. You don't know how environment variables work. You don't know what a node module is. So all these things, you still need to know the fundamentals of it to get the most out of it. And that's, I think, where this kind of Cursor for beginners is going to play out. But isn't this amazing? This guy built this like sailboat game where you're just turning a rudder, and I can see, there's a bunch of other people sailing little boats around, and then they put the signs up. Like, this guy's making mortgage money off of selling signage in this virtual game. So all that said, Cursor obviously is one of the big niches that I think I'm gonna be going after. So I've been just trying to think of like what are the best ways to kind of approach this. So covering MCP, covering all the different pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, and kind of scaffolding out like a really basic um, like lesson structure. So I think that's where this is going to go. Where it's like you kind of need this blueprint. You kind of need like what is the ideal work setup because, like I mentioned earlier, I made a video where I just literally walked through, hey, here's the settings that I have. It works for me. I built all these things. People liked it. It got a lot of engagement. I think another part of that would just be teaching people like how to generate 10x responses. So if you know how to talk to the model, then you'll get a lot better outputs. Because the thing is most people like they go and this goes for non-cursor stuff too. But it's like most people they're sitting there and they have some sort of need and like the computer is here, right? And it's a desktop. And they're just asking that thing for some question that they're really struggling with. Maybe it's like, oh, I need a React component to do this, or oh, I need a better email response, or how do I handle this situation? And they don't realize that the computer, like, it has never, it's been basically trained on like the entire internet. And so you have this whole thing that's in there, and it's not going to be that great if you just walked up to it and it had no context of who you are, what you're trying to do. Like it'd be like if you walked up to someone on the street and you're like, "Hey, give me an answer to this question," but they didn't know how to give you that answer in the context of you. Like it'd be very generic, very bland. And so that's the thing that I've noticed a lot of people struggle with. Like, so instead of like, level one prompt would be like, give me a React component that does XYZ. Well, that'd be like a level, let's call it like a level one. Maybe a level zero would be they just say, give me a component that does XYZ. And then level two would be, I need a Shad CN TypeScript Tailwind for Next.js 15.2 app router. Like the more context that you're giving, the better it is. And then as you get down this, rabbit hole of prompting, then you realize there's this thing called a meta prompt where you can tell the computer what prompt you want. And the better the meta prompt, the better the prompt you're going to get. So it all just kind of ties into this stuff. And like, as I'm even talking about it, I'm like, wow, this gets confusing. So I think that'll be a big thing to be teaching people because it does apply to Cursor. Like when I open up Cursor and I have this folder called .cursor and then you have an MCP, like this gives me the ability to, give my database access to the agent. So that's kind of what I'm thinking when it comes to this course stuff. Also, it's going to be important. Like these things change all the time. So I will be having a school community that I'll funnel people into. So if they want to kind of see more updates than just the original paid product, it'll probably be in there too. And so what I was saying before is like there's these two niches where it's like there's Cursor and then over here there's another one which is just really like broadly just teaching people AI like because it is this thing that's super magical that everybody kind of knows they need to be doing. So it's really like, like mass audience newbie content. And when I say newbie, they may be a professional in one area, but they don't know how to use it. And so they just know that like I was saying before, like they have a task and they just want to get it done, but they're not really sure how to do it. So I think that this will be really the two that I'll be playing around with and they'll all go into the one channel. The channel will drive traffic to the school, to the paid content, to the courses, all that stuff. And so, yeah. And then that does play into part two, which is just the content strategy. So when you cruise around and you see what videos people are watching, like there's this guy, Steve, and he runs a software as a service called Builder. And he'll do, some evaluations of what he thinks makes a good model. teaching some of those concepts. So I think those could be good. I think teaching people how to broadly generate images with AI, because a lot of them look really bad. Maybe you didn't even know it was possible. And so just kind of thinking about that, like going through the new tools of Claude Code, that's the one that I find to be the best, will probably be a good idea. And so what I do is I just kind of go through all these things, like simple ideas of, oh, this guy built a WhatsApp chatbot. Well, what about a calorie tracker in 3 minutes? Because everybody's building calorie trackers right now. Or what would it take to build a WordPress clone in 10 minutes? I think the issue sometimes, though, with like these in 10 minutes things is people don't, it's kind of like a show. 'Cause people don't associate the fact that, or they don't think about the fact that the creator, aka me in this case, would have gone and done a lot of pre work for that to be able to pull it off in 10 minutes. Um, but it all should kind of tie back into like this would then go into like the 10x like prompting video. And I'm clearly having trouble with this pencil. I'm new to it, but it's fun to do. But that would play into like, oh, like if you want to be able to do this, then you need the 10x prompt. The way you do that is with the meta prompt. Here's the meta prompt. It's over in the school. So you kind of like all like it all like ends up playing into one another. Some other videos that I will be putting out is just listicle style content of what tools I wish I knew. I can actually pull up the list of videos, and I'm taking a kind of a product management approach to all of this now. So if I look at my video ideas, then you can see I have like the status of them, the channel of where it's going to go, and then I'm trying to put together like what a series would look like. So you can expect to see courses, tutorials, master classes. I kind of classify as a video that will be like longer than 30 minutes. So they can kind of get a 101 on it. And I got to take a sip of my coffee because I just made it. But other videos would be more so like showcases and like, oh, like how would Mr. Beast make an AI video? Well, he would probably give his credit card to an AI agent and let it go ham. Maybe you could give an AI agent $1 million in a trading account for crypto, like a paper trading account, and see how it does. I think another experiment perhaps would be like, oh, I built an AI to run my social media, or I built a social media account that is totally autonomous. I think one that I thought of yesterday actually would be a YouTube account that would automatically comment on popular YouTube channels, and it would be called the counter, because a lot of people say when they're recording YouTube videos. And it'd be just kind of funny. I think if you did that, or if you did that on a bunch of different channels and it was always commented immediately, then people would be like, how's that done? There's no way someone's watching this and counting it. But then the creator would probably look at that and think, wow, I say a lot. How did they do this? Then if they went and checked out the YouTube channel, they could see maybe it links back to me. It's just something that would be a really easy transcription pipeline, where I guess I could maybe kind of think that through, because I think it's an interesting idea. But if you had the counter, and the goal of it would be to get attention from popular creators so they know that you're the smart dev, you basically would have something that you need a list of creators. You need a whisper pipeline. When I say pipeline, it's really just like a whisper call, whispers the video to transcription. You would need probably YTDLP. YTDLP is the downloader. So then after you'd have all those transcriptions, then you would feed go transcription, which is typically a text file. So .txt. And then the transcription would go to, in this case, if you wanted to keep it easy, it'd literally just be a GPT assistant. And there'd be some prompt in there that'd be like, I'm going to type this because it's way faster, but it would be like, you are a video analyst for a popular YouTube channel. Your job is to read through a large transcription text file and count the number of hesitations or pauses that are normal in the English language, like um, and then return the number of times was said throughout the entire transcript. So that'd be something really simple to set up. Now, do I think that this is like an award-winning idea? No, but that's just something that you can do when you do have this skill set, and then you basically bring those together. And while I'm on the topic, this is something I did yesterday, actually, where let me see if I still have it. Yeah. So I have shown you earlier in the video the product management course that I made, but I wanted to make it so that it was in blog post format. And so that's what this is basically taking a script. So I came in and I said, hey, I want to run a whisper on a playlist of videos. For each video, make a new text file in the current directory with the name of the file after the name of the video. Here's the playlist. So then this is using Warp. So it's another agentic tool in the dev toolkit. And it basically gave me the plan where it said, hey, I need to process a YouTube playlist and create transcripts for each video. This will involve 1, downloading the video from the YouTube playlist, 2, transcribing each video using Whisper, 3, saving each transcript as a text file named after the video. First, I'll check if he has YTDLP. Yes, I do. And then it does some smarter stuff. Like I wouldn't have thought to use this temp videos thing, but it's nice for storage space where I don't really want to keep all these videos. They're already hosted on the cloud. They're already saved on a hard drive. But it creates the shell script. It goes and it does it. And then it's just running. And then you end up with all these transcriptions. So that would be really the first part of the job. Now, the output of what the task I was doing here was not to count the number of times I'm saying but actually to take it and turn it into blog posts, which is another thing that I'll be doing in this content pipeline. So I have these prompts, and one of them is YouTube to blog post. And then I have these different sub prompts in here based on the type of content that it is. So if it's a YouTube video that's an academic lecture and you're turning it into a blog post, it's going to look very different than, let's say, like a design and creative tutorial. So in this case, it's comprehensive prompt for generating academic lecture, right? So I want to transform academic lectures subtitles into a rigorous, scholarly, yet accessible markdown blog post that captures the intellectual depth and nuanced insights of the original presentation. Then it has this input processing methodology. It has the structural requirements of it. And all this stuff really helps when you're trying to set up a good pipeline. And so then you have the output verification matrix. I took this from an open source project that I found, but this entire Airtable is free. If you just go to my website, and there's a lot of gold in there. But if you go to my website, I think I put it under resources and maybe AI tools. Yeah. So under AI tools, you'll be able to see that. And then it's under YouTube to blog posts. Yeah. Cool. So all those are really, really helpful in the case that you were trying to take, even a video like this, like I could run that same thing on it. So yeah. So that's a little bit of a high level on the strategy that I'm going to be working on and some of the stuff that I'm looking forward to today in terms of strategy for the daily. I know that I have a client that I'm meeting with at 4, and this one's not so AI related, but it's, as I'm building out the services and building out the kind of audience online, I'm willing to do different things. So this is like just literally just a Webflow site. I don't even know why I have to write that. But what I will say is this is a good topic to talk about because Webflow is maybe in a little bit of hot water because you have other products like Bolt and Lovable and V0. And then I want to just throw in Figma too, because I think this is an interesting point to make. So if you had these on a spectrum, let's throw in WordPress, let's throw in Squarespace, let's throw in Wix. Cool. So let's put these on a spectrum, and I want to say like easy to use, and this will be like non-technical, and then maybe on that scale. And then like we need another scale, which is like product quality from low to high. How do we want to do this? So I really think that we should have something like, oops, this. And let's get another line and go like this. And the higher up on the product quality, we go there. And then ease of use, low to high. And I think this will make sense in just a second because I'm thinking about this a lot when I go to select technologies to use. And this plays into like um, AI automation software too, like make.com and n. But when it comes to website building, I think that there's a lot of these that just won't exist or need to exist because models are getting better. A lot of the meta skills that came out of basically the lack of coding skills for agencies, website builders, they're just going to go away. So let's put Squarespace. This is going to be a low product quality and really easy to use. So we're going to flip this. Super easy to hard. Cool. So this would be hard and high product quality. So we'd put custom built / let's just put cursor in this case. So cursor would be up here. We're going to change the colors of these to black. Cool. I think Figma, it's really got a door open to do something here. Now, they don't natively provide website building, but I think that they're the ones that should be able to. And I think that skill set of being a good designer has long legs, meaning like you can tell when a website is made by V0. You just can. Like someone sent me one yesterday and they're like, it's so awesome. I learned how to code and I made it with V0 and ShadCN. And I'm like, I can tell. That's fine for most, but then it's kind of the new cookie cutter. So I want to just make this like just more like a conversational piece where like I really think that if they can make this bridge between Figma and Cursor even better, which is a tool that we're going to go through in a sec, that it's poised to just crush. So I just want to put that one there. I think these ones, Bolt and Lovable, I played around with them. It's more like a bar trick where it's like you can get something up and running like relatively quickly, but the quality is not great. And they use a lot of stuff that a lot of devs would kind of scoff at. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but I don't feel great about these. They're pretty easy to use, and the product quality is, I'd say, like kind of mid. So I put that there. I want to just highlight that, Cursor would be here. I think then to be fair, we'd say like VS Code is a little bit harder to use. But obviously it's going to be like a high product quality. I think Squarespace, WordPress is a little bit more of a learning curve. So, these would all be in here. Webflow, I think this is really the point I wanted to make is like Webflow is, if they don't act fast, this whole meta skill didn't need to exist. Like it just didn't. I know they launched a feature recently that lets you do some AI stuff, but it's basically like a type form with some templates behind the scenes. When you actually look at a lot of the stuff that's involved in it, like, it's just like quasi coding. Like it's nothing great. It's like teaching you what padding is and whatnot. But like if I click on this and then I open up the design controller and I want to design here, I have all these things on the right that really are just Tailwind classes. So I just think that like if they can act fast and they put a little bubble here that just says what do you want, and then you can talk to it and say, make this image rotate, make the image line up so the bottom of the carpet is at the bottom. Like just little things like that. They sound easy to say, but they're pretty dang hard to actually implement. And so, yeah, that was just something I wanted to talk about. So I need to do some of the edits on here. That'll be really quick. And the last thing, we're going to go through an AI tool that I am eager to try out. So I mentioned the MCP thing earlier. I think a lot of people are confused about what it does, but basically MCP is the model. Oops, crap. I'm still figuring out this pen. I think you're supposed to be well zoomed in. Cool. We're going to pull up the docs for it. So I think I don't have that open anymore. Model context protocol Supabase. So here's an example of one. So Supabase is like a backend in a box. Fantastic. Highly recommend it. I've rolled my own stuff and this is just easier. Here's an example of it, and then I'll go to the actual docs. But basically, it gives you access to a set of tools that are well defined, so you don't have to write your own tool calls. What does that mean? It means if I'm using Cursor and I have Supabase, I want to be able to query something in the database using the agent and have it make an answer to a query, then I can do that. So it's defining the set of tools. It's a standard way. Now, it's nice because it basically lets people share them. So you don't have to write your own things over and over and over. Model context protocol. Anthropic. Let's pull this up. So I remember reading this when it came out because it's not new. I don't know why everyone's just freaking out about it on the internet, but I guess there's quite a delay, which means if you follow this channel, then you'll stay ahead because I talked about this in November. That's crazy. But yeah, so let's see how they explain it. Oh, we're back on the wrong site. So introducing the protocol. Today we're open sourcing it. Great. So you can check it out. You can see that they have a bunch of stars, I'm assuming. But the way that they explain it is hey, we have this server. We let you connect to different tools. You can do it with the Claude desktop app. So if you had a hard drive full of files that you're working at a law firm and you have a bunch of different PDFs that you want to reference and you want to be able to do it in Claude desktop, then you can do that with the protocol. If you're a coder, it's really helpful because you can basically hook it up and there's different SDKs that you can do it with. But that's more or less what it is. It standardizes the way that you can connect to other services. And I think by having a protocol, it's nice because then you can go to a website that has a bunch of them and see how it works. You can see that Block and Apollo were some of the first ones. Zed. I should do a video on Zed. Zed's actually really sick. Just real quick, it's a Rust-based IDE. So whenever you hear the word Rust, just equate it to the word fast. There's no lag, which is really nice. But the reason you'd care about this if you're a user, both technical or non-technical, is then you can basically find examples. So all of these are servers that someone else wrote or protocols that someone else wrote. So you could have a Slack server, which means I can have Claude interact with my Slack workspaces. You can say, hey, go read through these messages and tell me what happened. And then you can set up an automation. Maybe a good use case for that would be hey, I want to have a daily update of my daily update so I don't have to open Slack, or take every conversation that's going on in the Fluffy Couch Lounge channel and run a sentiment analysis on it so I can know if my employees are pissed off or not. Weird use case. Obsidian Markdown notes. A lot of people are nerding out on that. You could have it go and basically query any note that you have. If you had a folder full of notes and video ideas, you could use Claude desktop or Cursor, whatever's hooked up, to kind of reference that. So the easiest way to explain it is it connects to other apps. It's like glue. One of the interesting ones that I saw and what we're going to talk about before I wrap this video is one that's done with a browser. So as a developer, that's really helpful because if you're building something and then something goes wrong, then you have to open this up and then you have to look in the console or the network tab, and then you have to go to fetch, and then you have to filter, and you have to look through. So if something's going wrong, all this stuff not going wrong, right? You can see these RSCs, they're React server components. You can see he's getting 200s in here. That's awesome. Good job. But if that's not the case and something's broken and you're going back and forth and then you got, this thing open and you're trying to figure it out, pain in the ass. So what we're going to go through now is basically an MCP that connects up to your browser and does it via a Chrome extension. So let's see. I had already downloaded this. Now let's see. Let's just follow along with this video real quick.
You will now have a browser tools MCP server. Now that's step one.
So first thing is get that. Go developer mode.
Load unpack. Navigate to the browser tools MCP repository that you just cloned, and within that, click on Chrome extension and click select. You will now have a browser tools.
Okay, so that looks Chrome extension. So you just grab the whole folder. So if I go into my manage extension, and then I go to my extensions, and then I go load unpacked, then I can grab the folder. These are also all like just random products that I've built. Like this one was me rebuilding the flight simulator. I tried to build Age of Empires. That was a little more challenging. Kaj is definitely one that you should check out if you're into chatbots. It's this open source beast. But let's see, where the heck is it in the developer? And then what's it called? MCP browser tools. Downloads. Sorry to make you guys wait, but I have no clue where this is. Oh, it's in DevTools. Why, of course. Of course I put it there. Okay. Developer, DevTools, browser MCP, Chrome extension. Select. Okay, cool. So now that's in there.
You will now have a browser tools MCP server, Chrome extension. Now that's step one done. The next thing you want to do is that you want to run the browser tools server, not the MCP server, but the browser tools servers. And I'll show you just how. Just run through this following command. It will ask you whether you want to install the following.
Okay, so we got the extension. Now we're gonna. Of course, we need an update for on my ZACH. MPX, agent, desk, AI, browser, tools, server. Cool. So we get a package. Now it's listening. Okay.
You can actually tap the screenshot and you can verify that this is working.
Oh.
You can see it's saying receive.
Interesting. Okay, so this thing's listening, and then now I wonder if I have to have this running all the time. Let's see. So if I go in here, then there should be an extension. Yep. Browser tools, path to screenshots. Okay, so capture screenshot. Cool. And then that's all the data for that. I got all the. Oh, okay. Now I get it. This is cool. So basically, it's taking everything from it's a logger and a screenshotter. And then what else can I do with this? Limit the logs, include the headers. I wonder how. I mean, I'm sure he's going to show me. I wonder how it works when I'm using this.
Shorts audience from clipping chats, but typically it's
no. See, this is the guy I'm remixing. Check his channel out; it's really good. He basically like blew my mind when it came to what you can do with no code stuff. Because I was a big hater.
Location, and you can actually just open it up. So it's actually taking a screenshot for you. Now that you know that the functionality is working, so now you've got a Chrome extension running and step 2 is done. The third thing is to integrate it with your IDE, like Cursor. This is where the MCP server comes in. What you want to do is that you go to Cursor. Within Cursor, you do Command-Shift-P and go to Cursor settings. Go down to MCP, and then you do add a new MCP server. And the way you want to do it, you can call it anything you want. You call it browser, tools, MCP. Make sure that this is command. You want to use the following command, which is effectively just npx agent desk AI browser tools MCP, and that's just the version. If you add it in, just wait for a few seconds, and then you see this like green, and you and
oh, I get what's going on. So I'll be able to call this ideally from any project. Hopefully I don't have to re-add this. Agent Desk AI, browser, tools, MCP at 1.1.0. Okay. No tools available. Now, okay, got it. Boom, this makes sense. So by having this, I can use browser debugging. Like client-side stuff can then stream into my chat so that if it's having an issue, I don't have to go back and forth. And that's what I knew it did, but it's cool to see. So this is just a good example, right? Like I can hover over it and see, check our browser logs, params are random string, get console errors. It's interesting to see how they do this. So these are all just function calls, tool calls in AI world. Okay. Let's see it in action.
Add it in, just wait for a few seconds, and then console logs, getting errors, and taking a screenshot. Now I'll show you how you can actually use Cursor to be able to do this. Let's switch to the tutorial project. You can get a copy of this project if you go on my GitHub. All the source code is there, and you can replicate this as well. You can follow along with this code, but you don't have to. First thing
Oh, funny. I can see that it's debugging this browser. So if I call a server,
error logs into a console, and what you can do within Cursor now is that you can open up Composer. So Command I, close this on the side, and you can say gather.
how do I
error logs.
kill the server?
Then you can see it's actually going to call the MCP tool, get console errors. It will run it, and it's actually been able to get all the errors that are appearing on Chrome into Cursor. And it's going to try to get some network error logs right now, which we don't really need. And now it's going to get the console logs, and it's getting the debug logs and the non-error logs as well. And now it's going to take a screenshot of the application for you. And this screenshot wouldn't have been able to ask the AI to a little bit about the hype folder within that, and you call it rules, and you just name this debug commands.mdc. And this will actually pull up project rules in Cursor, and you can give a description. This tool performs debugging steps for applications. And so what you can do is that you can do star, yes, right? So this applies to everything. And what you can say here is that when I say debug, gather console logs, a screenshot of.
Got it. So he's maybe doing this globally? No, it wouldn't be global.
Specifying a long command, you can actually just say
/debug.
Know that it needs to debug your application. And now you know that there's a custom command called debug commands. And now it will automatically also use the MCP tool to take a screenshot. So it's taking a screenshot. So it's taking a screenshot, right? And then now it's getting the console logs. It's basically doing everything that we did just now, but with one single command. So this is today's bonus tip as well to save you the trouble of having to prompt.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Another one of the videos that I wanted to do, and I'm going to probably do tomorrow, but it's just this guy named AI Jason Zhu, I want to say. Yeah, there he is. This guy. He has a school. You should check it out. But he's using, I want to say Figma was the one that I was looking at, where it like connects the dots. Here's another proof point on Cursor. 0 to 100 million ARR in 21 months. It's nuts. But yeah, he has one where it's basically using the MCP to then go and look at Figma and then draw out all the nodes or read all the nodes. It's very, very interesting. But okay, I'm gonna wrap the video there. If this was interesting at all, then let me know. And if you have any questions, stuff that you want me to cover, really anything, I'm looking for comments so that I can add a segment to this type of video where I go through the comments or any questions and can do a Q&A at the beginning of the video. Besides that, enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.